So part 2 of the program implementation, for the end of the exercise, you will document your implemented program, whether it's recreational or an informational program, but you're going to document it photographically through some type of presentation, web-based presentation tool. If you have any short video clips, 30 to 45 seconds, those would definitely be welcomed. But remember, any photos of minors, any children 18 or younger, either need to be taken without showing their faces, or if you can blur them out or be unidentified, you can get the back of the heads. But if you have photographic permission, then that's fine to go ahead and include those. But you'll document the program that you implement, and it said you will implement. I guess it should say that you implemented. Utilizing digital photos and or video clips, you'll create a presentation using any type of web-based presentation program. It could be Slideboom, Prezi, HikuDeck, Powtoon, Impressor. There's a ton out there. You could even do a Google slideshow, but any presentation tool that's your favorite, I would highly recommend it. Or you can be creative and try a new one out. But when you upload the presentation, if it has a URL, then you would include the URL of that published presentation in the comments section of the assignment box, so that I have access to it. Now, when we get to the discussion board, everyone will post their presentation and just a short summary of their program in the discussion area for our final discussion post, but you can post that URL link. Now, for some presentations, it's easier just to upload those into Google Drive and then share the Google Drive link. Just make sure that anyone with the link can view it, so you don't have to be logged into the UCA one. So make sure you're very careful with the permissions. Try them out by the end of the program. So here is the rubric for assignment 3. Here are the headings that you need to have within the body of the paper. You can have subheadings as well, but definitely include these as a major heading, down to assessment, and then implementation. That's when you get into the presentation part. So rationale. Make sure that you have a detailed rationale provided with great detail for your program implementation. Again, more information is much better than not having enough detail. Objectives. I know at the very beginning I said have at least one objective, have at least one standard, but for the rubric to really be advanced, you need a variety of objectives provided with significant detail of what standards you're going to include. So Arkansas School Library Standards should at least be included, at least one, for every library program that's being done. But if you have a content area you're doing as well, you could do that. But then also look at any of those state standards. You don't need 15 or 20 standards. Just have at least one from each, one from Arkansas State Library or more. You can have a couple, but don't have 15 or 20. You can have one from whatever content area. If it's a science program, something, that's STEAM related or STEM related, look at the national science standards or the National School Library Standards, to see what would coincide or pair. Or even just look at the ISTE standards if you are doing some type of technological program. Target population. We're going to stick with advanced and proficient. You can look at unsatisfactory and basic, but just make sure, if you want the most points, which I would hope everyone did, wanted to do the best on this project, your target population needs to be identified, and it needs to be the primary audience of your initiated program. Your target grade level needs to be not the same level as your initial licensure. So somewhere in your paper, make sure you indicate, here is my initial licensure, here is the target grade level for this program. Materials. It's best to include a variety of materials within your program. Either, the candidate can provide those and or any sponsors. So you can take pictures of whatever materials are provided and, include those as a JPEG or a PDF. And you can include those as an appendix at the end, but you can refer to them when you do the write-up for this part. Your assessment. Make sure that you have a program assessment tool, and make sure somewhere the results are provided and discussed. Don't just, put in a table of the results and not discuss them, or don't just discuss, here's what everyone said, but not provide those results. Those can also be, the results can be included as an appendix at the end, and you can refer to those. The implementation. Make sure that your presentation summarizes the overall experiences, the choices, the results of the program, and it needs to demonstrate the ability to interrupt experiences and apply actions to future events. So within your presentation, make sure that you have an overall reflection somewhere in there. What went well, what didn't go so well, and what your future plans would be if you were ever to do that again. Your organization. Make sure your thoughts and ideas are presented in a superbly logical, interesting sequence so that it's easy to follow. Make sure that the paper is formatted, with the appropriate cover sheet, the running head, all of those things. Your APA style, make sure it is based on 6th edition. Make sure your language is appropriate for scholarly writing. When writing up the pre-plan and everything, typically you do not use first person until you get to the reflective part. So keep that in mind. Even when you're talking about how you came up with the program ideas, you would refer to yourself and the library media specialist you're working with in third person. And then your grammar and syntax. Make sure you don't have any spelling errors, grammatical errors throughout the paper.